I'd like to call the meeting of the Water, Waste and Environment to order on this May the 5th.
Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo. We're not meeting in the Spanish line. We're meeting on, we're meeting here on Treaty Number 1 territory. It is the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, the Innu, and the Dakota people. We are also here on the homeland of the Red River Métis, where we actually receive our water from Shoal Lake 40 in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Ross Eady. I will be your chairperson today, and with me we have Councillor Chambers, we have Councillor Mays, we have from our administration, we have Mr. Tim Shanks, and his team is here for the reports today. We also have our senior committee clerk in Mr. Harris, and actually I'll call for Brian, Councillor Mays, will you move the minutes of April the 11th? And what's the right wording? Anyway.
So moved.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Nobody's opposed. That is carried. We have delegations today?
No delegations today.
No delegations? Oh, okay. Then we're moving on to our report. So report 1.
Report 1's a request for an extension.
Opto.
Opto program for advanced water metering solution. It was the report was due this meeting, but unfortunately we're not quite finished a review yet. I mean, the report's written, but we're just finalizing review, so we're requesting a 30-day extension.
30 days. So it's okay. All right. Do you want to move the extension?
Yeah, just a quick question. So you're requesting 30-day extension for the report to be presented to this committee, and that'll be it.
Oh yeah, like the report, we'd be present the report at the June beginning of June meeting.
So in terms of the implementation of these water meters, some of that has happened already in the sense of new builds.
Yeah, well, yes, sort of. Like there are areas, there are a couple areas in town where we do install remote read readers, but that's not necessarily the exact technology we're talking about for the overall program. So like Waverly West, Sage Creek, and Canterbury Trails, other place in Mascona have remote reads, but they're like drive-by reads. So they're electronic meters. But the overall AMI program, like we're going to go citywide. We want to replace all the conventional meters. They'll have like an area data collection system instead of drive-by. So we do have automated meter reads in place in several neighborhoods.
But what you're talking about is different in terms of the entire city.
Like the meters and a system to collect the information and like a whole citywide program. So there will be the existing ones in Waverly West and Sage Creek, those places will be integrated in that system. So it's kind of a partial yes to your question. We have some, but
So in terms of the opt-out program, if a person is buying a new home with one of these meters in it, what would happen?
we would leave the meter in there. Like that's I'll get to the report that we'd be presenting. Kind of assessed. Okay, what do other cities do? If we were going to do something here, what would it look like, and do we recommend doing it? So that's the body of the report.
Good, thank you.
That's amazing.
No, I'm familiar with this one, and there was a wave of opposition, but I think we landed in the middle ground, which was a good move to say, we'll have an opt-out, you're gonna have to pay to opt-out, but we'll await the details.
Okay.
Lauren says she's en route from the garage, so she should be here
Oh,
at some
okay.
point.
So
Good.
I'll move the extension of 30 days.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Nobody's opposed. That is carried. Solid waste, if I recall, this is a result of a motion from Councillor Gilroy and Councillor Mead.
Yes, and we were waiting on a provincial response.
Mr.
Oh,
Walsh.
do we delay it?
Mr. Jenkins.
Delay it over again.
It would have to be a recommendation to council to lay over again.
Did you have anything to report, Mr. Shaw?
On the motion, no, this is, I mean, this was, you know, a motion that, to put, yeah, some of the property taxes on the solid waste utility. I mean, the department does whatever.
And we're waiting to hear if they're gonna amend the City of Winnipeg charter. All right, well, we'll.
I'll move 60-day layover, which I understand will have to go up to council to approve it, but it does.
Okay.
You're right, Councilor Edie is correct. The letter to the province was approved. That was part of the main motion, so they're gonna have to respond at some point, and it does make sense to get that response before we decide what, if anything, to do with this motion.
We'll be moving the 60-day extension.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Alright,
Nobody's opposed, that's carried, so that moves on to EPC and council. Report number 3, the budget for the Climate Action Resilience Committee. Would you like to speak to this, Councilor Moose?
Firstly, we gotta congratulate Becky here, who pulled away from me at about the 9 mile mark, or 8 mile mark and a half marathon yesterday. And must have finished under 2 hours. I mean, I think that's well done.
It's like flow by me at any moment there at the end. Congratulations.
Glad
you as
to
well.
motivate you. Yes, that was a hot day, so impressive run. We had Felicia Wiltshire in the field. We had a bunch of people actually from the city around, and Josh was there doing the sound and playing my request, so kudos to him.
Is that right?
Yes.
Which was?
The wind must have dried you out.
Yes, I was doing great till about 8 miles, and then Becky fired past me. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, I'll leave it to the staff to introduce this, I guess, and then I can speak to it as well, the next 2 items.
So the Climate Action Resilience Committee presents its 2025 operating budget for approval with $47,000 allocated to meetings, education and training, and consulting services budget lines. This is the same last year, it's like these combinations. It's now broken out to education, training, consulting services, and meetings.
And there is a staff person, not Becky, but a staff person, but that's handled through the.
It's one of our sustainability planners, and the Office of Sustainability provides the coordination support to the committee. So that is a action under the Office of Sustainability, so it's not within this operating.
And we're about to have I mean, the committee's still sort of finding its way, and but we've had something referred to the committee for the first time, I think, from council, which was the building emissions reduction strategy. So we're having a special meeting to discuss that very thing with sometime in the next 2 weeks, 10 days. So yeah, it's starting to get some momentum finally out of that committee, I think. So yeah, the budget's only 47,000. It's not a big deal either way.
Question, Councilor James?
Yeah, right. Is there any collaborative work being done with the province on climate action and resiliency? I know that from the area of recycling, there's co-commitment work being done, but what about with climate action?
So with the Climate Action and Resilience Committee, currently there's no formal action happening in the province. So the committee's mandate is to provide advice to council, to connect the city with community and also support the update to the climate action plan. So yeah, developing those networks and building those relationships, but as for a formal partnership with the province, that's not currently.
What about informal? Nothing at all?
So there are regulators, so we do have a deep relationship.
Yeah,
Just not necessarily with this item, but with all of our environmental items, because they're a regulator. I'm not sure if this speaks to that per se in of itself, but we have many other items that speak to it at this committee.
Two things, the request for a special meeting to discuss Keniston widening was not approved, and the motion that came out of the committee to start talking more about alternatives to natural gas heating was defeated at this committee before you got here, actually, Council Chambers, to be fair to you, so you can't really, people in Carrick are trying to do stuff and having it defeated, so it's not really fair to them saying, can't, you're not cooperating, well,
well, I'm not.
yeah,
asking-
because you can't even get a motion through the next standing policy.
Yeah, I'm not asking, so I'm asking out of, the work that, all of the work that's being done in this province and within our city, how is it aligned? So it's more of that interest than.
Yeah, I think, you're right. I mean, last, I was looking to, augment the, electric programs in all of our buildings like we did, last term in community services. And just add a whole, like another department, and was looking at actually fire. Because of their 24/7 operations and the fact that staff were plugging in and there wasn't really an overarching plan. And that was at the time the premier had given a rebate program and the feds just gave another rebate program. So I think that it is happening, to your point. I think we would need to reverse engineer it. I think you had the most positive environmental news, the LeMay Forest, that we were working hand in glove with the province, and I think that's obvious. What they could do in weeks, we would need to have taken years to do. And so that is big environment news. That move alone. I think this department has deep relationships, some of them really positive, some of them not so positive in terms of the regulator as an enabler of environmental policy. I'm not sure we're there yet. But we have a really good relationship with the minister and premier, and I think that there's more to do to link up the biodiversity policy that we're co-developing, the department on sustainability and all governments. Forget about the province, just the province, all governments. I think we have some really exciting work that we're doing that we are very modest about. And this plan is emblematic of that.
All right, so, got some information there. Would somebody like to move this report?
Sure, so moved.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Nobody's opposed, that is carried. Item number 4, public opinion research on Winnipeg climate change action, a very interesting report. Mr. Shanks, would you like to give us some highlights of this?
Yes, our manager of office sustainability, Becky Raditz, is presented.
Yeah, thank you. So the Climate Action Resilience Committee, the consulting services from Pro Research to complete this Winnipeg Climate Action Omnibus poll. The key findings report and the raw data is attached and it is available on our open data portal. So a few of the results include that 3/4 of Winnipeggers express concern about climate change. Almost 70% think climate change should be part of every decision city councilors make. 81% are unfamiliar with what the city is doing on climate change. And as Winnipeggers aren't familiar with what the city is doing on climate change, 68% are neither satisfied nor dissatisfied. The committee did hear this opinion poll to help inform the planning for their own work. And they're also looking at its value to the city. So following from that, they have put forward a new motion to build on those poll results and to improve communication between the city and the community. PARC recommends that climate change poll survey questions and results inform departmental analysis of citizen needs and satisfaction on climate change action, and that departments integrate climate change questions when they conduct in-depth citizen polls on specific topic or service under their departmental areas. And just a note to add to that, in 2025, the city's annual citizen satisfaction survey will include a new question to assess the level of satisfaction on the city's efforts to address climate change.
Any questions, colleagues? Okay, Councilor Rowlands.
What does this discussion look like in the department? I've received reports from this department that are environmental reports, if ever there was one, climate reports with no climate analysis. The last part isn't filled. There's countless. So is there a commitment that is coming from the department discreetly today that we can get excited about, that there's a renewed commitment to not only ask the question, but to actually complete the analysis that this council did write into every report to do that climate analysis. I'm thinking of, the various multi-million reports we got on any one of the sewer updates, be it south or north, that says there's no analysis there. It is seen across the country as low-hanging fruit to just ask the question to every report in order to point the various departments' minds to it. And yet, it is like the Excel spreadsheet that we refuse to think about in any different way. Seeing we repeatedly at council get, no impacts, no financial impacts, and there's a financial impact arguably to everything, environmental impact arguably to everything. So I'm wondering if this has been there's been a probative discussion within the department that is responsible for it on how better to prioritize climate action in the city. And I'm not so subtly suggesting it would start with actually doing the analysis. Was that discussed at all?
Sorry, Councillor, when discussed in terms of at a project level related to like greenhouse gas emission reduction for or budgetary reports, or I'm not sure if I'm clear on the question.
Report that you sent to council,
Yes.
there is to be an analysis on climate.
Well,
That
the report is a review on how the report, whatever the specific report is, how it relates to the climate change policies or the overall city policy on it. It's not necessarily a request to do a separate mathematical calculation on the reports.
misconstruing my question, or if it is just another question that you have, because the report where it says on April 24th, the Climate Action Resilience Committee recommended the following to the Standing Policy Committee, this one, that the public service be directed to review the public opinion research on Winnipeg climate action and results to inform departmental analysis of citizen needs and satisfaction. I'm suggesting a component of that analysis actually is directed from council to the department, predating this, to do climate analysis. Are you familiar with just that direction from council? That's a yes or no question I'm seeking. And that if further you reflected upon that direction and said, I'm going to recommit to doing that analysis as opposed to not doing it on the routine. Because this survey told me Winnipeggers think that analysis is important.
I apologize, Councillor.
It's not that I misunderstand what the item is.
No, I apologize. I don't think I understand the question. Like the.
I can ask it again.
Okay. Please do.
Do you, yeah? So on every report that council asks for, there is an opportunity for the department to reflect on the item that you're writing council on with respect to climate. You're familiar, yes?
Climate change policies, yes. Okay, what was that? Yes.
With the component that requires every report to have a reflection on climate. You're familiar with that?
Yeah, a reflection on how it relates to the city's climate policies, yes.
Yes. And so this gives rise to that, don't you think?
It gives rise, I'm not sure, I follow.
Do it on the routine and with perhaps more rigor.
Well, if this motion is approved by council, and then, you know, that will be our direction as a whole, not just the department, but the public service as a whole, to look at the results of this and, you know, inform departmental analysis further, like that's, like this report's in process, right? It's looking for approval here. It basically, the takeaway at first glance here is that we need to do a better job of communicating the work that we do and how it relates to the council's climate change goals, because there's clearly a gap in how we're getting that information out there. So that was, and you know, to what I think your point is about the, you know, already existing policy of using a climate lens to look at like how does an individual report fit into the city's climate policy? Does it is there a particular you know, clause that we can connect it to? Often there isn't in some of our financial reports. Often there isn't a specific direction we can tie it to. But overall, this report here with these results based on what we've got from our, you know, the survey, you know, clearly, you know, we need to do, you know, rate that recommendation too. You know, incorporate climate change questions more explicitly when we're doing citizen polls on any specific topic or service. Yeah, like, I mean, it's, I mean, this whole exercise has been very informative in terms of what we're doing, how we can relate the work to what we communicate.
I guess, by way of comment, I mean, it was a useful exercise to do. It certainly makes me think the efforts to try and change over from natural gas to other forms of heating are probably not viewed with any enthusiasm by the public, and we're probably better off focusing on some of the things. The trouble is, for that committee, no one wants to hear from that committee on transit, so that's gone. The compost part of things has pretty much been decided. Similarly, ag issues aren't really part of this committee, so it really comes down to the building heating question. So hopefully we can get some progress on this. We had the climate plan, then we had the energy roadmap, and now we're onto the strategy. So at some point we will actually have to put some money into this because we're running out of names to come up with for various reports. So hopefully this building emissions reduction strategy will produce some actual action, and it'll get referred to this budget, and we'll see what happens.
Wasn't there a conversation about geothermal and creating another utility for geothermal?
There was, yes, the province first wrote back saying we're not doing that, and then some good work by Mike Moyes. The deputy's letter was corrected to say, actually, we are looking at possibly still doing that as part of our pledge to do alternative heating, geothermal heating for 5,000 homes. They just haven't quite figured out how to deliver that.
If you're finished, I have just two questions. Ms. Radis, this is coming the meeting after one where we have that strategy that's been referred to the Climate Action Committee for review. Did this survey results have any influence on that strategy that we have moving through council?
So, no, with the timing and how, when the survey went out, the public to get these results, this opinion poll did not inform the building emission reduction strategy. So the Climate Action Resilience Committee now has the results of that poll, and they will be receiving the building emission reduction strategy to review and provide comment back. So it's more that their review can be informed by these survey results.
And Mr. Shanks, so this survey will also play a role in when we're looking at budget decisions coming up in the fall.
Yes, I mean, our, yes, absolutely.
Colleagues, would somebody like to move?
So moved.
So moved. Councillor Chambers, all those in favor?
Aye.
No, but anybody opposed? No, that is carried. Councillor Rowlands, we had that meeting where we heard from the Wildwood neighborhood. I was called and asked questions about
Mr. Vernon?
that whole situation. Would you entertain moving a motion and get a little more like, I think the committee itself should be informed on this, and would you like to move a motion to get a report, a short history of the situation and why this is a very localized, I'd call it kind of an emergency or whatever.
Wildwood and floodplain, that is Wildwood.
Yeah.
I think it's not just at this committee, but I can move a motion to get an update on the work in Fort Garry and Wildwood specifically, if you'd like. Councillor Edie, unless you have one more particular in mind. I think some of their immediate concerns would be at property and development. And because of the roads budget, but we could get something here. In
So I'd like,
terms of,
sorry to interrupt, Councilor Rowlands. I'd like more information, and actually added to it is trying to examine any possibility to move forward. Told it's in 2029 work on the,
like prior to 2029, you mean?
yeah.
Because it's in 2029. I'll ask the clerks if I think the 2029 budget isn't germane to this standing policy committee, but I'm happy to get an update. And I can feel the cockles of Dennis Berman's heart being warmed by this conversation. So it would be very pleasing to him. So if the clerk has something, I'm prepared to move it along with Councillor Edie.
So first we'll just need a motion for new business.
So
All else?
Yeah, ready? All those in favor?
Aye.
Nobody's opposed. That is carried. Councillor Mays, you sound like you want to move adjournment.
I do.
Oh, no, we'll
Did
do
we-
the
did we
motion
knock
first.
off the actual?
Yeah, motion here.
Sure.
So I just want to be sure I'm completely clear here. We are looking for a verbal or written report? Verbal? Okay, and that's on. Specifically, what are we looking for? I know we're looking for an update on the Wildwood floodplain, but what sort of specific details are we looking to include? Obviously, we do have to be careful as there are components related to public works.
I'd like to know how long, when, like, it sounds like there are older pipes or whatever that need work in 2029 is in the budget. The capital projection from water and waste. So I just like more detail so I can understand how it's going wrong, because I mean, there's a catch basin problem where it freezes and all that kind of stuff, but I'd like to know a little more about, well, what's the issue with the pipes? Why are they needing to be renewed and that sort of stuff? And actually, if the local industry is able to take on work before that, there's any possibility to move it along quicker, I think would resolve a lot of neighborhood anxiety, right?
So just to be clear, that the department provides a verbal update on drainage projects within the Wildwood floodplain, including the reason for the renewal of the infrastructure and the possibility of addressing the work prior to 2029.
Yes.
Yeah, in the meantime, as an update, Counselor Edie, the department is televising the land drainage lead along the back lane of Mr. Berman, who is here, to look at major breaks in the lead. So that, it'll be nice, we might be able to see that work ourselves. So I can forward that to you too.
Thanks, Councilor Woods.
Just to be clear, that's moved by Councilor Rollins.
Sure. Unless Counselor Edie wants me to catch the chair, but for the interest of time, I think we're good. So moved.
Okay, all those in favor? Nobody's opposed, that is carried.
Adjournment since I was late and I apologize for being late.
Being adjourned, okay, all those in favor? Nobody's opposed, that is carried, thank you.